And we're back. Edward Gaming, I should be more clear, Edward Gaming are back after that Game 1 win. They step into the ring with FPX in their first best of 3 of the summer split, and they absolutely smash it out of the park. I was just telling you, Raz, in the past, Edward Gaming have been a bit slow to adapt to new metas and meta changes, and 8-11 is absolutely a new meta. Well, Edward Gaming, they almost seamlessly merge their AD carry-centric style with mid-game tempo and add in all of that new 8-11 goodness, no problem.
I would focus that a little bit more because I wouldn't go out and say that it's EDG that's slow to adapt. I think they're a team that's actually rather good at adapting. It's Clearlove that is really slow to adapting in terms of the jungle picks. So this time around going towards Nocturne that has, you know, seen play in the past, that's an old goodness. You don't need to go towards the Taliyah jungle. You don't need to go towards the Graves jungle. If his style is not the carries, you can play Nocturne, facilitate for the plays that are impactful.
And it's so funny that we bring it up this way because Clearlove has been playing for years at this point. He's seen through so many metas that at this point his champion pool for jungle champions has got to be so massive. New metas are no longer new to him. It's just going back to something from 2016. It's just going back to something from 2014. So the Nocturne is another step up for the dark side of Clearlove. We'll see if he takes it once again into Game 2 against FPX. EDG with side selection have chosen blue here and now find themselves first picking Aurelia. So maybe, I was just about to say, they're merging their AD carry-centric style with iBoy into something new. Well, now we've got an Aurelia pick, and they're giving away this Nocturne. So EDG, they're going to have to show something different in this game, too.
Nah, I don't want to alarm anybody.
Okay.
But even though Aurelia is known as the strongest mid laner when Zoe is out, and she's actually fairly good into the Zoe as well, I'm not too sure if Scout's going to be picking up Zoe for it, because the first player in China to be playing a lot of Aurelia was actually Ray in solo queue. So Ray is a really well-practiced Aurelia player. He's a very strong carry player. So I do expect this to be a true flex pick here. A lot of times you would expect it, Aurelia first pick, going mid lane. I think that might be the case here, that they hold on to it until second phase, because usually the pick against Aurelia is like a Renekton, something like a Bruiser that can deal with it in lane, but I don't know if Cool is willing to do that with the context of what Ray is willing to do.
And now with the Lucian and the pig farmer Sejuani locked in for Clearlove, they move forward into this next round of draft. The Rise has now been picked away by FPX. And Edward Gaming, what are they doing? Sejuani, not exactly known for her early dueling, her early skirmishing, perhaps banking on Xinyi to look for the level 6 rush, buy some time for Clearlove to do the same.
Yeah, that's why I would say Sejuani is fine here. It was the Snake Esports game earlier on in the week when SOFM picked Sejuani in a poor position going up against the skirmishing Bruiser jungler that can kill him. That was a problem. This time around, he had the context of saying, okay, that's a Nocturne first pick. I have time. I'm not going to be in constant skirmishes, and really, when Xinyi is leveling up to level 4, 5, 6, I can do the same, and I have stronger gank potential without 6. So that's really cool that Clearlove is willing to go back to the Sejuani under that circumstance. Won't be picking it up first pick like SOFM did earlier this week.
Yeah, we'll see how the rest of that works out for them. And of course, we do now get to see some support bans away because we see neither support on either side. Of course, Singed also being banned away just in case Scout were to take that Aurelia in the mid lane. And Morgana banned away from Chris. That means Alistar is open, unless they're expecting that Shen to go bottom.
Alistar, Braum, you're right about Shen potentially going bottom lane, but Shen and Nocturne work so damn well. Shen and Rise as well. I think Gimgoon in this instance, even though we've seen far more Shen supports, will pick up the Shen. Just because it's fairly good. I would say it has good lanes into the Aurelia, and you can utilize it to get to the bottom lane way more often. So it just depends. I think there's a lot of opportunities here for FPX to just change things up a little bit.
Yeah, they're not showing their hand just yet, as another Yasuo is locked in for LWX. It's his third this split. So far he's lost twice on it, once against EDG and once against Snake. So still looking for redemption on that champion. Not the item, but the actual quality of being. And Edward Gaming, how do they decide to take this now as Rakan is locked in for Mako? That's going to be a Rakan Lucian, it looks like, unless there's any last-second switch here from Edward Gaming. Mundo going to fall through, massive champion, and it's locked in.
There we go. So that's an Aurelia mid lane, Mundo top, Rakan support. That being said, if I'm Crisp, I would pick up the Alistar here, because suddenly your team fight can get buffed up. Rakan versus Alistar, fairly coin flip in the laning phase. Just depends what he's willing to do. There's so much you can do here, so that's a positive for FPX that they can really just decide that the Shen can go bottom lane, and they can last pick for that top lane matchup into the Mundo. So there we go, it's going to be the GP.
All right, yeah, Gangplank locked in instead. That's going to be going to Gimgoon up top. Rise settles down into the mid lane for Cool. He gets to take that into the Aurelia as Ray will be taking that Mundo up top. Well, I mean, 14 seconds left on the timer.
No,
Ray's actually looking at the Lucian. He's
No,
look
no,
at that.
no, no,
Clearlove's
no.
got a little bit of a laugh and a smile.
Get that out of my face. I'm not even going to respect that, all right? You have time, 20 seconds is the time to go. iBoy is not taking Mundo, so for me, looking at the compositions, Gamegoon picking up GP, he's been the OG GP player.
Well, look at that. FPX doing the exact same thing. The last second swap. Yasuo in the mid lane. Rise in the bottom lane. So Aurelia into Rise.
This is actually really sick. Now remember, I've been criticizing Cool's Yasuo because historically he hasn't picked it up, or at least he hasn't been strong on it. And he has been practicing it fairly heavily. So this is him coming back to it, willing to see if it can work in his favor. Going up against the Aurelia pick, has a decent laning phase because he's a short lane. And Aurelia in longer lanes have done quite well in towards the Yasuo once you get items underneath yourself. But under this really short lane and mid lane, Yasuo has chances to get proper trade patterns across with his Q.
We'll see how that works out for Cool in this matchup. The Yasuo into Aurelia. Ray popping up and down as he takes another drink and gets ready to load into this. The remaining members of EDG prepare to return to the Rift as they make an absolute stellar performance in Game 1 and show that they have absolutely returned to form. Second place is something a lot of teams strive for but never even get the chance to see. But Edward Gaming find themselves taking second place and they decide, you know what, that's not enough. Yeah. We need to have the whole cake and we've got to eat it too.
Because remember, even though a lot of the stories have been RNG and WE last year at Worlds were the best teams going towards semifinals. But it was EDG that qualified for first seed.
Yep.
First seed because they got the finals victory.
Yeah.
So EDG has been in the top of the league for a very long time. This time around, getting second place is a blow for them. So they want to find themselves in a resurgence. This is the start to that journey.
This is the winningest team in LPL history. Perhaps one of the best teams in the world right now, but they are trying to prove themselves once again in front of the audience as we load onto the Rift. Jackalope for Game 2. I mean, the volume of the cheers itself should tell you how much the fans love this team.
Yeah, and you know what? The cheers have gotten stronger for FPX when they got Cool in there, but it's not going to get as strong as the EDG chance. It's never going to get as strong as EDG chance. So, you know, maybe if they add in a few more haymakers, get in a FLICKR or two.
Maybe that could change it. Cool, you can see on your screen taking that Yasuo. Like you said, not always the best champion for him, but hey, it's 2018 summer. It's the chance for him to prove everyone else wrong, as he did recently join FPX towards the back half of the spring split. His veteran shot calling providing so much.
And you know what I'm going to say right now? I think Cool's Yasuo is much like Clearlove's Lee Sin, where Clearlove, if you watch his streams, has a pretty damn good Lee Sin. But if he gets on stage, it starts to flop, and confidence becomes a real factor where you're like, all right, now that's like not a good showing. He's not going to play the pick again. I think it's just a confidence pick here for Cool where he's not as confident on the pick, but I do think he has the skills to play it properly. So it's just going to be on him to see if he has a proper performance here.
Crisp, that's the Ignite and an auto attack. iBoy, is he going to chase it down? Rune Prison from LWX, and Crisp dies to the Ignite. First blood, Edward Gaming.
And they knew the damage. Mako and iBoy could have flashed in to get the last auto attack, but they played it cool and recognized, no, I saw that patch. Crisp ain't coming out alive.
That's some fast maths, some quick maths. As Mako gets denied. Did he actually get denied mid-dash by that Rune Prison?
Yep. Today I learned.
Wow.
That's pretty sick.
Now we know Rakan actually has to complete the dash. It just happened so fast. I never thought you could actually stop it. Amazing.
Fun stuff.
But I guess that makes sense. Poppy denies it. You don't knock up when you hit. Anyways, we're just talking about
randomly bringing up Poppy?
Yeah, default mechanics. Well, no, because the Poppy aura,
I understand.
Rakan dashes in and he stops, and then there's no knockup. But Cool in the mid lane, pushing into Scout here on this Yasuo. He actually eats the stun, and Scout goes in. That's the Conqueror proc. as he just pushes Cool back, trading these autos.
And that's the thing. That's the ticker of the matchup here, is because even though Aurelia can make it a longer lane, Cool can take the small trades because he has the shield to back him up. The passive shield, even though you thought Scout was going to come out proper in that trade, it didn't happen because Cool was able to be as defensive as possible without even using exhaust.
Ooh, Clearlove is looking for a gank top. Gimgoon very far forward. He's getting there just before Shinyi, who's at the Krug camp. The wave pops up, but Gimgoon has got some speed. He's hit by the red buff and just flashes under the turret. Clearlove already taking not one but both scuttles and affecting a gank, while Shinyi seems to be rushing that level 6.
Yeah, so taking Krugs, being so close to Gimgoon gave him false, I wouldn't say false hope, but just an idea that he thought he would be safe in that situation. So he blows Flash, he has to push in. Nocturne's coming here not for a gank, but just so he can actually allow GP to push in properly. The ward is proper. I mean, that just showed that Shinyi did come through the lane, so there's no Ray running in 1v1.
But that means we get a double knock-up. LWX. iBoy times out the refuge, and the Ignite is actually turning back onto him. iBoy's getting pretty low here, Crisp, and LWX are doing some damage. iBoy flashes and finds the kill and the safety. 2-0, Edward Gaming.
Yeah, LWX couldn't turn it back even if he wanted to with the 0 mana he had in that situation. So really strong double knock-up coming in from Mako. But that's how you close it. I mean, you could trade it back all you want, but LWX was not going to be able to fight back.
Immediately, LWX teleports back into the bottom lane. Doesn't even have enough for a tier yet. But Shinyi might be thinking of heading down bottom. He's hanging out behind the red buff right now. He's got himself a ward walkway to get down behind that dragon, though there is a safe control ward from Mako to spot it.
This is really damaging for LWX because suddenly he has to think about another proper back timing.
Yeah.
That usually entails having Shinyi come down bottom lane, get another skirmish, just so it allows him to base for a tier. So that's now an extra objective that FPX have to have in the back of their heads so LWX can get properly scaling.
And that means that that's even more pressure onto Shinyi, who's trying to get level 6 as fast as humanly possible. I mean, Nocturne isn't exactly a human, but he's still trying in that regard, as Clearlove might be thinking of coming mid. Let's see if the stun lands. Cool dashes into the wave. He's got flash and exhaust. Stun has been procced and set up. A Cool with the wind wall. Doesn't even aim it in the right direction as the hitbox starts on top of Yasuo and blocks it sideways.
Slick, cool, man.
That was awesome.
These interactions well, real well.
But still, that's Clearlove getting 2 ganks off in the time that it takes for Shinyi to farm to level 4. Even Crisp is here, but look at the ward. They've spotted both of them.
Yeah, so there's not much you can do here if you're FPX because unless if Crisp somehow gets a taunt off on towards Scout, EDG should be able to turn this one.
Clearlove's right over the wall. He might not have seen Crisp, but there's no flash. He steps up, the flash engage. Cool flashes back around the Rakan, knock up onto 2, but Cool goes in, and it's only 2 level 6s. Scout versus Cool. Who's got the damage? Who's got what it takes? Scout goes down first, and that's a double kill as he chases it out with the fancy fingers, manages to land the knockup. Mako under the turret. They're diving this one, missing the Q. Steel Tempest, not enough, and Crisp gets out of turret range only just in time.
And it was a real game of whoever was going to get the first kill would really win out because Cool, surprise, surprise, has triumphed. So getting the HP back off the first kill means that there's no way you're going to be able to kill him with the little damage that you had there. So really well played from FPX, even though that was a play from EDG to get the ball rolling first.
The counter strike from FPX to turn that play back around. Let's see how it goes.
So take a look at this. Even though Clearlove and Mako understand that this is going to be a 3v3, they think that they can get the first jump on this one. So they go in, they think they can get the damage on towards Cool. Cool plays it out so damn well, has the triumph on top of that, so there's no way that Rakan's going to have enough damage to be able to answer. So really well played from FPX and poorly planned from Clearlove because he went in there before Rakan was even able to follow up. I actually think the better play was to time them out. You don't have to go on it just because you recognize that it's Shinyi and Crisp that are wasting time.
Yeah.
So you had the proper ward, you could play patient in that situation, but they themselves were confident that they can get the kill since they got the first hop.
And that's the effectiveness of that Spirit's Refuge from Crisp, getting the dodge zone with 3 members standing inside of it, denying the auto attacks. Weak though they are from that Sejuani and Rakan, that was all that it took. Cool was a single auto attack away from death. but getting that triumph, like you mentioned, suddenly this game is right back to even, and all of those tiny little momentum propellants that we saw EDG start to take are slowed down a little bit as Cool finds himself with 2 kills, 8 CS ahead, and suddenly Scout has got to sit very far back in this lane.
And a lot of the early game questions that we had for FPX are starting to get bandaged up. The first one was, is LWX going to get a proper time for tier as well? Right? Because Rakan went mid lane, and because it didn't work out so well, LWX and Crisp had the time, or at least LWX had the time for himself to push out, get a proper back time, and come back into the lane. So now he's not in that bad of a position, while Cool is in a proper one with 2 kills to his name. So right now, FPX just, I guess, 1 big play and 1 smaller band-aid means that their early game is looking really good.
It certainly is. Still, though, EDG are trying to control the river on this bottom half of the map. Even though it is a Cloud Dragon that can provide huge utility in upcoming fights. As Clearlove finishes off that Scuttle Crab. We do see some defensive wards set up by FPX, one in that bottom lane, but there's nothing to keep an eye on their bottom side jungle. And right now, Clearlove, he's thinking about a gank. Look at the on my way pings. Crisp senses something is off. He's stepping up to the tri-bush.
And this is just good enough communication, recognizing that LWX doesn't have any mana to his name. So even if he would look to walk up to contest the CS, he's not going to be in any position to fight. So let's go.
Oh, there it is from over the wall. The reaction, but it's not enough. They still manage to catch up. Crisp again with the Spirit's Refuge. His finger is on the trigger. Meanwhile, dive into the mid lane, flash under the turret, but it's going to be the attempted outplay. Feared, but Cool finishes it off. 3-0 to Cool.
Yeah, Cool is so damn strong, and all that was worthwhile. Recognized because EDG made the bottom lane play. So just 2 plays happening side by side, and FPX got the better of it.
LWX is able to make his way back into the lane. He's finally got that tier. He's got that lost chapter. No longer has to worry about mana in this lane. But again, that mid lane is the one that's suffering from EDG. Cool is starting to pick up some kills. It's only a matter of time before that Yasuo becomes unlocked and starts affecting these side lanes. And he's going to become a real problem for EDG once these lanes become a little bit longer.
Yeah, so for me, even though the kills are coming down to Cool, I would say what's important is the fact that he's getting all of the gold in his pockets. Yasuo is the type of champion that really looks towards item breakpoints rather than the level breakpoints. So getting Phantom Dancer early on, really strong, because that means that he can take most trades. Because it's best of both worlds, the damage
and damage reduction.
Yep, damage reduction to balance that out. And then, of course, the Infinity Edge is when you're just pretty much complete. That's when you can just go hard, because you already have now the 100% crit with the quadruple critical strike that you can get on top of the new IE, on top of the Yasuo passive. So that's pretty sick.
You need 1 critical item in the new Infinity Edge to cap out on 100%. Meanwhile, EDG, they've got all of their gold in iBoy's pocket. He's up 12 CS against LWX. 12. That was a really odd way to say 12. He's got his Blade of the Ruined King already finished. So EDG, it makes sense that they're continuing to focus his bottom lane and try to control the river. But even now, when there's just a tiny lapse in the vision, when Clearlove is recalling, when the wave is pushed in bottom, that's already Cool rotating down to take that Cloud Dragon. So it's a question of how long until Cool becomes an unstoppable force in these side lanes before iBoy perhaps can start trying to bring him down or look for any of these big team fights to turn around that momentum. Shinji thinking for a dive. I mean, I could be completely wrong. They could just accelerate Cool even harder. And the Stan United, Paranoia United there. As Shinji gets another kill, Crisp will take that one. But again, it's 3 deaths onto Scout's Aurelia.
And there's not much you can do if you're EDG in this area. You would say maybe Clearlove could be in position. But even then, you're just saying it's a 2v3 at best, because the reason why Shen goes for that play is he recognizes that both iBoy and Mako are in the lane, and that Rise is there to protect himself just alone in bottom lane. So this is a really rough position if you're EDG.
They do try to make a trade for that dive onto the mid lane. iBoy getting a lot of damage onto the bottom tier 1, even getting a few hits as they push the wave in further, and Clearlove on his way down there as well. Culling is ready, but iBoy's going to hold on to it as he just brings the minions into the turret, still looking for that first brick. And despite the Gangplank ultimate, despite so much, EDG find the stun over the wall, the flash engage. And again, they pick on LWX and they are rewarded. First brick goes to EDG. But again, it's a reactionary play. They're still pushing up though. Crisp trying to hold on.
Yeah, really Crisp is just going to try and hold the wave if it's possible. So the fact that Mako then utilized that trinket means that Crisp is going to have to get out of the bush, but he still gets the job done here. So whoever wants to pick up the wave can. LWX will be able to get onto that first. So you're right. Here's the thing. EDG, I think that was a proper play just because they recognized that Shen was leaving the lane so often that they needed to be able to take the tower down. Otherwise, it's a 2v1 for no reason. Yeah. So strong job for them. Now they need to get proper lane assignments. Send Lucian, Rakan mid lane, get the push, and then think about going top lane to dive Gimgoon.
Try to slow down that scaling gangplank, that late game insurance that we're seeing out of FPX. As Lucian is headed towards that mid lane, Ray looks like he's set to hang out bottom. We'll see where Scout ends up in this lane assignment because he is so far behind right now. 0-3, 30 CS down, only a Phage and Ninja Tabby to the completed Phantom Dancer and Zerker Greaves of Cool, who's still starting to accelerate even more. And iBoy actually goes top. They could be trying to break down the tier 1 in that top lane before sending Scout to a side lane. So it seems a bit risky, though, because he's already been dived twice.
iBoy was bouncing between both mid and top lane when he was trying to route to a lane when he was in blue side jungle. Ends up going top lane just because a massive cannon wave was about to hit the tower. So going mid lane to share experience for Aurelia and then go top is rather inefficient.
Yeah.
So it looks like he's just going to be top side, and then they're going to have to send either Sedwani for a play mid so she can get the play top lane. It's just a lot of strategizing here for EDG so they can help Scout, help top.
But look at that. Once again, Shinyi's on the side, even using the sweeper to see if he's been spotted. And Crisp, without the Stand United, is just within flash shadow dash range. But so many members of Edward Gaming are hanging out. They will just give the wave over to iBoy and then swap him towards that mid lane. Finally, Scout heads top to a little bit of a safer lane, but still, there's a lot of pressure on this mid lane. Seems like Clearlove knows that it's about to happen. Shinyi is right there, just waiting for the opportunity. Cool. Missed the Steel Tempest. Crisp even steps up, but they follow it up. That's the flash shadow dash. They get in there. That's all three. They stack up the AoE, but iBoy dashes out and uses the culling into the wind wall. Cool eats some hits. As Clearlove eats the crowd control. Last breath was held onto by Cool, and they slam dunk themselves another kill.
That was so sick from Crisp and the Cats because the point blank taunt flash, just so you can get on top of iBoy, was necessary because they respected his mechanics that much. This could turn into a tower.
Very well could. Teleport from iBoy to get back in. He's at full health, and Ray has joined the fray. Stun is not going to hit Cool as he's able to get behind the wind wall in time. And FPX don't find the tower, but they do find the kill.
It's just such a scary situation for FPX because iBoy, Blade of the Rune King. Mako finished up the Zeeks, so they're at a really strong position for himself to protect the iBoy. So for them to go on top of them, you have to be able to respect him enough to use a flash.
Oh no, and the exhaust, an easy dive onto iBoy. He overextends and pays the price.
All right, where's the respect? I feel like it's iBoy not respecting Cool in that situation. What the heck are you doing, son?
Still perhaps a bit of the cockiness that we saw from iBoy at Worlds against FLICKR. Ever the Achilles heel for the young player, but here's the engage once again.
So there we go. On top of the knockup, gets the taunt, double knockup with the Yasuo Q, and you get right on top of him. The benefit of course, is the fact that Lucian now doesn't have flash, which makes the next play easier, resulting in iBoy's death. So that replay ends up resulting in iBoy dying because he didn't respect the fact that he's right in front of Cool, on a wave, get on top of him when he's not able to jump out himself.
And while that replay was happening, Rift Herald was taken by Cool. He's 5-0-1, straight buys double BF sword on this recall. He doesn't have the Infinity Edge finish just yet, but he is darn close. And that is a lot of damage. 7,500 gold to Scout's 5,100. The only person who's even close is iBoy at 6,700. And if he keeps on dying or making plays like this, removing that gold from the fight, that's a massive advantage for FPX.
Yeah, it's really nice. I think at this point, Cool should be on side lane, just so he can actually get the solo experience and full wave clear. At this time, if he's just sticking mid at this entire time, it's going to be Shinyi, Crisp, who comes in and leech experience. Right now, Yasuo is your main win condition. You need him to have the golden experience so he can get his double item spike. So once he gets IE, he's excellent. He should be on side lane, not Rise.
Absolutely going to be massive. Right now, he's just using that to burn through the health of this Mountain Dragon and try to accelerate this early mid-game, deny EDG that mid-game tempo that we know from them so much. As now see the group up in that mid lane. Rift Herald still in Cool's pocket, but Mako engages over the Steel Tempest, sets up the AoE. Cool makes it under the turret in time, plus the culling, and he's still alive. Chris will die. Shinyi dives in and gives up his life for it. LWX is looking for some bounce, but that's a bit aggressive, decides to back away.
Yeah, I don't know why Shinyi doubled down on that, because that's just a lost play. You look at the HP bar of Cool and Chris off that play alone. All right, give it up. Try and defend the mid lane tower immediately afterwards. But EDG get another kill to their name, and now they're going to be flying high, going back to base with a few more, I would say, items underneath them.
Now they've got that mid-tier one broken down. There are pings onto it by both Gimgoon and Cool, who makes his way back out, perhaps trying to catch the recalls of EDG, as Herald is still in Cool's pocket. Scout shows himself in a side lane, but here's that play again.
So very clean. Mako, as you said, flashes over the Steel Tempest, gets the double knockup. So at this point in time, Cool is already out there. Chris, he's going to die. Shinyi is only here because the play from LWX is I can follow for a skirmish. That's not going to happen. That's not enough damage. It's not a lot of survivability for that play that EDG were presenting.
And once again in the replay, we saw the Rift Herald utilized by Cool to break down that mid-tier 1 and get a big chunk out of the tier 2. FPX starting to pick up an advantage over EDG despite that play, despite that pickoff from Edward Gaming in the mid lane. As it's now a 2,500 gold advantage for FPX. They're still accelerating. We're getting closer and closer to that Infinity Edge. We've got a recall from Cool right now. He's pinging onto it. He's got to be close on that gold. Plus, Gimgoon has the Triforce. It's all physical damage with LWX providing the only magic damage source, but this is looking pretty scary for EDG.
Yeah, finally they do have the right lane assignment here. The only thing they have to worry about is that Cool doesn't have TP, clearly. No Yasuo, no self-respecting one that's not top lane is going to go TP Yasuo. So that just means that he has to look to push and roam just in case that Baron's not going to be an issue. Remember how early EDG got the last one, so him being in the opposite side of the map is a worry.
Baron is spawning in 5 seconds already. You can see the members of Edward Gaming making their way to the top half. They've already got some wards set up. Scryer's Bloom spots Gimgoon and sees him complete the recall, but iBoy is doing the same. Infinity Edge finally finished off for Cool, and he's got a stopwatch. Meanwhile, Triforce has only just been finished for Scout in that side lane. He's only down 40 CS, but still a massive amount of gold away from having huge impact in these fights.
And I think EDG should start to recognize what FPX is cooking, because if they send Yasuo top lane, Baron is the real concern here. If he's got stopwatch and the two items that we're referring to, then Baron control, you already see where Crisp is starting to move in there. They could put in deeper wards just to set up the team fight that makes FPX so strong surrounding Cool.
And now Essence Reaper has been finished off for iBoy as well, so he's ready for this next team fight. He's ready for the opportunity to start pulling FPX apart and trying to outplay a Yasuo that's 3 levels above him. But like you said, here's the Baron setup from LWX and the rest of FPX.
Is that FPX can't start Baron and be on top of it for that long. Even though Baron damage did get nerfed, they still have a hell of a lot of carries here, so that no one can really end up looking to tank it. Maybe Shen, but Shen doesn't have any real items that can do that for himself. So FPX have to start clearing the wards. They're doing just that, but then sit in bushes and lie in wait.
Blue buff started out by Edward Gaming. They're trying to pull it back to their safe side. A stun, but it will reset and head over towards FPX, who are grouped up as 4. They've got Gimgoon with the cannon barrage. He's still missing from the map. It's actually Cool who picks it up. But just trying to pull Edward Gaming into a bad position. Even Ray is forced to track up here because he doesn't have that teleport. Crisp happily clearing out these wards with the support of his team.
And take a look at Ray. He completely abandons the bottom side of the map and he's with his team. He's going to be the way they find any way to contest these wards. So this control ward is one point that they're going to try and go for. Crisp might look for a taunt to try and get him going, but we'll see how it ends up being a response.
EDG are sacrificing a lot of gold on the map right now to try and maintain control over this Baron area, try to match the control of FPX. But still, FPX are just forcing that decision to be made, putting EDG in between a rock and a hard place. Pings constantly onto this Baron. As Shinyi, he's going to go back and start picking up some gold of himself. It looks like FPX finally settled back with no wards in their pockets.
Yeah, that's the point right now. The last control ward was placed by Crisp. They have no more control wards, and EDG was able to get full control back from in Baron. So FPX, they need to find a time to push and channel for base so they can get their controllers back on them. It's unfortunate that that's the case for FPX, that power play was outmaneuvered, but at the end of the day, it's EDG, and you know what might end up happening, because a lot of teams end up finding themselves in this frustrating point. They might end up looking to rush the Baron when they get the proper control rather than wait too long.
We've got the Warmogs now finished for Clearlove, so we can spend a lot more time on the map. Sunfire finished off for Ray as he's getting bigger and bigger. Even a QSS now picked up for iBoy. So he'll be able to avoid at least some of the crowd control of FPX, but they have got a lot.
QSS and Essence Reaver. The Essence Reaver is a big one, so he's been taking some time before he gets to the build, so now that he has it for himself, it's a lot more easier for him to maneuver in team fights. We saw what SMLZ can do on the champion, and now that iBoy has it in favor of himself, and a lot of melee champions that are willing to dive forward. I don't know how iBoy gets touched here, so as the composition starts to get rolling, it's FPX that are going to have to respect it with the fact that they have no tank. Maybe Crisp can really be that for themselves, but it's going to be way too weak. They need someone else to really be able to walk forward.
And look at that. Scuttlecraft spawns. Clearlove was waiting for the timer on it, but FPX just walk it down before Clearlove can get a chance to burn through its health, and that's now a lot of control to FPX. Cool starts off the Baron, but decides he doesn't want anything to do with it.
Okay.
Just constant scouting, constant skirmishing over the vision right here. EDG are not giving FPX any chance, any opening. iBoy might, though, as that's the Blade of the Ruined King active for a slow onto Crisp.
Just to get control of mid lane wave. So that means that they can push up once again and get full control of Baron. Seeing a back timing, this is when you don't want to base on top of a ward. Right now, because you can see where Yasuo's sitting, if he does end up basing and if he is on a ward, then that's a go sign for EDG to just rush it. They have a lot of damage to themselves if they find themselves near Baron. I say both teams do. So it's very volatile in the area. That's why no team wants to go for it, because EDG's super respecting it and they're always in the area.
Yeah.
Just for that kind of play to happen.
Constant pings around that Baron buff from EDG as they're trying to spot out these wards, trying to out-macro FPX in this situation. They find themselves getting into the brush, but a stun over the wall. They manage to get the double knock-up, and they've found LWX. He flashes back. He's got the shield, though. Culling, it finishes him off. It's a double kill for iBoy, and now the teleport completed from Ray as they're pinging onto Gimgoon.
All right, 2 members down. LWX and Crisp are off the map. EDG should just push and look for Baron. This is a snowball play. I don't know how FPX are going to be able to handle it. At this point, you usually say for them to cut their losses. In fact, EDG are saying they're going for Dragon instead.
Yeah, they're not going to look for the opportunity for Shinyi to get the steal for the turnaround, as this is a scary situation now. The Ocean Dragon going to be picked up by Edward Gaming. Now they're pinging onto the Baron. We're only just now seeing LWX respawn here.
I think it's just a very safe play from EDG. At this point in the game, you should feel fairly confident and looking to channel for Baron. Wait a minute, why are we going on a replay? They just started TPing towards Baron. All right, you know what? I'll respect it. I'll respect it. Take a look at it.
Here's the
seems
pick
like
again.
FPX are going to be taking Baron while we take a look at this pick. This is how it started. Double man knockup, but I really want to just focus on the fact that this is happening.
Yeah, that's the Baron picked up by FPX in the meanwhile. Edward Gaming find themselves out of position. Even the paranoia used by Shinyi to force the flash out of Clearlove and scare him even further away. Edward Gaming, I mean, they made a choice. They had the option to look for the Baron or the Dragon. They chose Dragon, and they chose poorly.
Yeah, they did. Just flatly. Because you can go to Baron and you can still force a fight. You don't have to say that, oh, maybe Shinyi's going to look for a steal.
Yeah.
Because you have Mundo and Clearlove, of course, to be able to force a fight onto Shinyi if he's hanging too close. So that's the best way to play that situation out. Shinyi and Cool had enough information to know that EDG took Dragon. We have enough vision on Baron. Go for a teleport on top of it. It was LWX that TP'd on it, and they had a fast enough Baron run to take it. So that's EDG. Really weird play from them.
Yeah, very uncharacteristic decision making, but they now find themselves 5,000 gold behind and forced to defend. You can already see FPX are creeping their ward line forward to put Edward Gaming even further on the back foot. As now Sterix Gage finished off by Cool, the Morellos from LWX, and the Grievous Wounds coming out of Gimgoon as well to try and deny that Mundo and shred through Edward Gaming's health. They've got a lot of dogpile in the back line, and they've got the option to try and go front to back as well by going through Clearlove and Ray.
I think they should just try and keep them split. Right now, the lane assignment is super good. Cool on side lane. There's no one that can really respond to it, so they're sending 2 members to do just that. The moment that happens, Cool goes mid lane, and then you can look to chip down mid lane tower. So these are options that FPX are doing a good enough job of creating for themselves. That one ward that Mako's placed in blue side jungle needs to get cleared out. That is a very common place to contest warding with. A strong control ward means that you can bounce between top lane and mid lane a little bit more easily, but because that's lasting for so long, EDG can respond. Mako's already doing a great job moving toward top lane and mid lane just to defend the towers for coming down.
Here comes the next Baron wave. FPX might be setting up for the dive. They've got Ray and Mako with Philip on the side. He's going to go for a few auto attacks onto Shinyi as he just separates him from his teammates. Still, that turret is slowly losing health. But the Baron buff has already gone through more than half of its duration, and so far Edward Gaming haven't given up that much, though this bottom tier 2 might be the first to fall.
Yeah, they're doing a really good job at defending this. Usually a team, especially with such a good 1-3-1, would be able to take 2 towers off this, but it's the control wards that are really lacking on the side of FPX.
Finally, they finish it off. That's the control ward you were talking about, but immediately Edward Gaming clear it out, reacting to the pressure that FPX are trying to utilize with this Baron buff, but it's only 50 seconds left. They've only broken that those tier 2s.
GP's alone in the bottom lane, so he should be able to get this tower for free. He's a little bit playing it too patiently. There we go. He lets the minions do the job for him. So right now, FPX, they're playing it slowly. And even though it's not ideal, it's not at 100%, what they're doing is they don't want to fail at this point in the game when it really is their best opportunity to find themselves with a really substantial lead.
Still, though, if this inhibitor line stands, that's going to mean FPX will have to wait until another big team fight or another Baron take before they can break the game open, especially if Edward Gaming are defending this will against the Baron. It's going to be even more difficult without it. As the top tier 2, it's getting slowly pushed in, but FPX, they're playing it so safe. They don't want to take any chances. It's exactly like we said in Game 1. If you give Edward Gaming an inch, they will take a mile, and FPX are trying to give them as little as possible so that there's no chance of a turnaround, no chance of a throw.
Yeah, it seems like they're having flashbacks of last game. That's my fear, is that last game they found themselves with, not the Baron, but a few picks tower on top of that, and they lost because EDG were able to punish them off of just a few mistakes when they were looking to get proper push-ins. So this time around, FPX are playing it super safe when they have Baron themselves. Ultimately, it seems like this game is going to be decided on just one fight.
We'll see what that fight's going to be, because it is just, we're getting real big. We're starting to reach that late game. We're 30 minutes in. Gimgoon is level 17. He's got 4 full items right now. That Yasuo is at 3.5 with another Infinity Edge under his belt. He can look for just about anything. The only person who's really been suffering quite aggressively in this game has been Scout. He's still 70 CS behind Cool. He's got Triforce. He's finished off that Guardian Angel as well, and it seems like he's been relegated to effectively side lane duty. Just catch the minion waves that Yasuo feeds into him. Give him a chance to get back into this. And it's interesting that we're still seeing EDG funnel gold into that Aurelia after iBoy is so close to being 6 items.
An Aurelia, a very skilled Aurelia player, even if you find yourself in a deficit, can do a lot of damage. So that's my big fear, is that an Aurelia right now, as you can see, going to be going towards Derek's Gage and has herself the Guardian Angel. In teamfights, is just going to be going straight towards either Cool or LWX and make their life a lot more difficult. So that's my fear when it comes to how Aurelia is going to play these teamfights. But with FPX, they're going for a Guardian Angel of themselves. You're talking about the stopwatch that's still in his pocket, and also a BF sword. They might be just going to choose to get this tower.
The wave pushes in, and the 3-man drop ship from FPX to take the tier 2 before Edward Gaming can respond. EDG thought they were being clever by setting up a trap on that bottom half of the map, but FPX just easily sidestepped it.
Yeah, it's always fun to see a Rise being played this late on in the game, especially when you have cannon waves starting to crash on the towers. So it might make it easier for this team to be like, okay, well, we find it difficult to get these inhibitor towers. We can just use a dropship to go top lane when we've already seen EDG looking to defend one tower alone.
Now EDG have gone missing once again on that side of the map. They're trying to get over towards that mountain dragon to match the 2 elemental dragons of FPX. This could be a place that they decide to look for that next fight as we get to the 32-minute mark. And FPX still using this advantage, still about 9,000 gold ahead.
And this is the first real test here, because EDG should feel comfortable with the front line that they have in Ray and Clearlove. So anyone that gets cut here will die. That's the caveat. There's enough damage on the side of EDG that's going to happen. So FPX are trying to play it safe.
Yeah, Crisp leads the charge. That's the Shadow Dash. That's Realm Warp. But Paranoia used very early by Shinyi. And the Cannon Barrage. He goes in. Scout is the target. But remember, he's got that GA, and Shinyi goes low. His own GA will be popped. iBoy dashes out of the back, but he's chased by one. Make that two. He goes down. That's a lot of the damage from EDG missing. Scout will die as well. And Edward Gaming might be losing this fight here. They cannot keep up with the damage and the last breath. Another slam dunk from FPX as they trade 2 for the ace.
And you know what happens? It's not that structured when it's not a front-to-back fight. You see LWX coming in a flank, and didn't even have to use Flash as well. Real strong play coming out of FPX, only losing 2 members, and it might just be the game.
It very well could be, and they're even using the dropship to get directly under the Nexus turret. FPX, off the back of Cool's Yasuo, 6-0-4. Turn onto the Nexus and close out Game 2, bringing us to Game 3.
Super clean play from Cool, and not just him as well, because he was already fed. And we've seen earlier this week what a team with a mid lane lead, I'll pick on LGD just a little bit, when Yuki got a kill for himself, they didn't back him up. They didn't support him. The lead fell across just because he was alone for the most part. This time around, FPX recognized where their win condition was and set Cool up for victory. So put him on a side lane, get as much gold and EXP on him, and then they were hell of offensive the moment he got himself the Guardian Angel. So really well done, or at least actually just a stopwatch and the Infinity Edge. So that was really key for FPX to start looking for the offensive plays.
And I think the thing that's most surprising about FPX, the way that they won that game towards the end, is yes, they snowballed off the early and mid game from Cool getting those kills, but in the late game, they played it slow. They played it patient. They waited for EDG to show their hand before reacting and making the correct decision. When given the correct time and setup, we saw a new side from FPX, a more tactical side. And this is something I think that is a bit unexpected, considering Shinyi now joining the roster. Crisp, it's something about the shot calling. Maybe Cool is starting to show that veteran leadership by saying, hey, I'm a big Yasuo. I can carry in these fights, but we don't have to take the fights if we don't want to.
And that's key, because my eyes are on FPX and how they're looking to shot call and look for these plays, because usually, yeah, they get these early leads and it does fall flat because a lot of the times they just look to be a lot more impulsive in how they engage. So losing a key shot caller in Pepper, now bringing in Sinew, as you mentioned, those are real changes, as well as the coaching staff as well. So this is going to be a long split for the team, and starting off clean looks good. They might even take the set versus EDG.
They very well could. I mean, they're going to have to close out Game 3 to break down that FPX win, though. Well, let's hear from our analysts.
Thank you so much, guys. And we've got to bring this one back to the Champions set, because I feel, Clement, that the call was, all right, cool, you go for a carry, you pick whatever you want, you can pick Yasuo, that's fine, you change your haircut, you look like Yasuo now, pick that one, great. Everyone else, pick a global.
Yeah.
All right, that's our game plan, let's go.
It actually doesn't matter what you do in lane. Bot lane is failing, it's a dumpster fire, it's okay. As long as you can come mid, we good. This composition is all about proving Raz wrong. It's basically saying, man, you're talking bad about my Yasuo. I'm going to prove you wrong, and this is the composition they went with. And the cool thing about it is actually takes away from, pun not intended, but cool thing about it is they do take away from EDG's composition as well. They actually took away a lot of the tempo, the globals, away from EDG. So EDG are actually running with a composition that they themselves might not be that familiar with.
Exactly. We saw the Reddit actually get first picks. I know Raz was talking about the potential for that to go top lane. Has been played a lot by Ray, but also it's just terrible into like every Bruiser matchup ever. So it actually got thrown into the mid lane. I like it. It's more of a skill matchup into that Yasuo, but of course it's just like you have to do well in the mid lane as Scout to play into Cool when all the resources are being funneled into him.
Exactly, and we have a cool clip. I'm sorry, I should skip that word. We do have a montage of Yasuo just chopping people up. The game plan was already set and clear and was about the setup. I really like the fact that even when FPX lost their bot lane, they stayed chill in the head and they basically said, we're all going to go in for the mid. And Cool plays this incredibly well. He never once steps onto Aurelia's disarming ultimate, and he does get 2 Triumph procs right into that team fight, keeps him alive, and then it's all about the snowball show. The globals coming in, 2 globals, 3 globals coming in at the same time. You know, Clearlove was trying to set traps here, but every time he did that, there was always an extra member from FPX coming into the fight first.
Yeah, just really impressive stuff across the board coming out from Chris. I mean, quite frankly, he just went Super Saiyan in this one. Check this team fight, by the way. He gets interrupted by Mako, but is still able to follow through. The big part right here was the fact that Mako got that interrupt, but he doesn't care. he still has the ultimate. He goes in, he follows it with a second Steel Tempest.
And of course, he follows it up with punishing iBoy, sticking around too long. He doesn't realize how fed Cool is at this point. And you know, in China, we call Yasuo the happy win man, and he was very happy indeed. 快乐风男.
Oh wow! Today I learned, and you learned something new as well. I don't know. It was just really cool to see from FPX because we've really been talking about like their compositions and like their kind of lack of style. But I like what they did right here because it was kind of like, all right, this is our play style. You made this, Clement. We made this. And they completely stole the game plan from EDG. They took the Nocturne thing and it's just like, how about a Nocturne Baron play, eh? And just took it. It was off camera, so we don't have a replay of it, but to be fair, it was also off EDG's cameras, so it's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, and we do have to talk about the meta changes in this patch. Baron's corruption damage has actually been halved, so that really does incentivize compositions that don't have any tanks to go straight into the Baron. In previous patches, that would be a massive risk because you're going to be very low health. The enemy team's going to be just sweep in and kill all of your members. Baron no longer has any teeth, so you can do that play more often, and with Paranoia lasting 6 seconds, we're actually seeing both teams go for the same strategy.
Yeah, and from there, it was just FPX able to win these fights over and over and over again and just kind of beat down EDG, but at the same time, I always feel like EDG, as I'm just using your notebook now, sure. I just feel like EDG went from playing chess to playing rugby for no particular reason, and when you're playing a team like FPX, who, yes, okay, maybe the compositions are trending away from just being hyper-aggressive, you don't have Pepper in the jungle, at the same time, they're still FPX. You can take the comp out of FPX, but you can't take the FPX out of FPX, and they'll still fight you, and they're still damn good at team fights. So why even go to that level against FPX?
Well, I just think that EDG have very limited tools. They have a very defined style in how they play, and when the enemy team is smart enough to match them in their style and even be better at them at some point, EDG are kind of like, what are our tools now? Because they don't really draft for laning. They don't have the best 5v5 team fight. They were playing for catch this game, but the enemy team had 4 globals on their team. They could always match that sort of global aggression, that sort of quick aggression coming out from EDG. So I just feel like EDG, the way they tend to draft, they show their hand a little bit too much. And when FPX is smart enough to just basically eclipse all of their strengths, then they kind of go on the wayside. So I do think if EDG get another crack at it, they will go for more of a red side draft this time.
I mean, that was going to be my next question, Clement, because now that we have EDG taking on EDG 2.0, who is actually going to be victorious? Because at this point, I didn't really know which team was which, and it seems like FPX, when they're adapting to it, but then adding just a little bit more on the end, is actually coming up trumps. So you say EDG, but why is it going to be EDG?
I didn't say. Well, you're saying both of them are EDG.
That's true. I mean, exactly. I mean, who is it going to be?
And I think the reason mainly is they have an easier snowball in terms of the bot lane. And if you look at both of these games, even in the second game, they did have control over the early game. That was their own mistake that led to the snowballing of the Yasuo. So I do think that EDG overall is the more defined team, the team that snowballs harder off of single slight mistakes. And if they can avoid those, I think they're still fine.
Exactly. Let's actually take a look at the snowball all coming to a head at the end of the game as well in this final team fight. You can really just see how just damn fed Cool is at this stage as well.
Yeah, you can see Cool really biding his time. The Paranoia, of course, was a little bit early, but they still decide to go in at the end of it when everyone was caught off guards. And they do find Aurelia first, knocks her into a GA very early on. She was already chunked down, and there's nobody to really stop the Yasuo early. iBoy flashes early, but still can't get away from the Yasuo. And with a Gangplank ultimate coming down on top of them as well, there's just no chance for escape then. Man of the match, of course, going to none other than Cool. 29.9% of his damage. Oh, actually, sorry, that's actually 20.9% of his damage.
Yeah, 2,000,000% damage coming out that Yasuo. You know, I like the pose there as well from Core. It's just like, hey, can't lose the game if every resource ever is funneled into me. And the Yasuo, it worked out. 91 kill participation, 604. I mean, this style just seems to be working out for FPX. And if they are copying a lot of what EDG are doing, then it almost feels like if Core is able to do this consistently, it's almost a better version of Scout.
Oh, yeah, I actually do think so as well. You know, Scout is kind of that guy that does play more for the Temple. We said his best champions are the Talia, and this time around we see the Aurelia as well, things that can catch people off. But if you actually can dunk on him in lane, then it really does limit his options. He's not known as the best team-fighting mid laner.
I mean, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and in this one, it didn't really in the end. We are going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be back with our third and final game in the set right after this.
凤凰的精神就是不畏挑战，燃烧青春。